It don't matter about the suit or you know, what kind of clothes you got. It's your game. As long as you got skills, and we know I got skills. Right. You know, let me go and play that. I'm going to go ahead and play that.
Players finally figured out the Kaminga thing, didn't they? Yeah. Bronny. Three. Bronny. Got to make one, doesn't he? Yeah, ooh.
Why don't you try being like everyone else?
How am I going to do that?
You can start by getting a job.
Hello, welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order, please?
Please? When looking at the very short NBA career of one Bronny James, those of us who aren't paid shills and blithering idiots knew this guy from day one was an NBA player and barely was a G League player. As it comes down to it, the reason this guy is in the NBA is because his dad and his last name. Now, looking at Bronny James in year 2 this summer, a little bit of rumbling is a hype. Bronny James, you know, he's improving, making a leap, debatably coming Lakers rotation, getting big-time minutes. No. I don't think so. No. Bronny James and his entire career, it's a house of cards on lies, promises, and a very, very small chance this dude one day will be a decent NBA player, a decent bench player rotation. Does that day ever come? We don't know. But until it actually does, he'll get every excuse made, every caveat created, every narrative built to prop him up for as long as possible. And he still puts up duds, has bricks, turns the ball over routinely. What will be chalked up to? You know, it's a quote-unquote learning experience. Laughter. Are you serious? At this point, for the Lakers franchise, the NBA as a whole is a personal adult daycare for Bronny James. And you might say, you know, you're being too harsh, Bronny James. He might be good one day. At some point, just face the facts. That day is never coming. As we look at this guy in year 2, supposedly taking a leap, at best, he's stagnated. And at worst, he's gotten worse. So far this NBA preseason, a grand total of 210 players have scored at least 20 points in the preseason. Out of those players, Bronny James ranks 210th in field goal percentage, exactly 20%. Here's another jaw-dropping stat. Out of players this preseason who have taken at least 20 shot attempts, Bronny James ranks 3rd to last at 150 out of 152. Now look at three-point shooting. Bronny, out of qualifiers taking 10 or more threes per game, ranks 127 out of 142. That right there's your so-called 3 and D point guard who's an absolute brick from deep in the bottom 5% of every shooting category. This good, and this not good. This is not good. In this era of NBA basketball jump shooting, three-point shooting is so important. That flaw in Bronny's game simply cannot be overlooked. Let's dive deeper into these stats. If you look at Bronny James shooting the basketball outside of 5 feet, he's an atrocious 3 for 24. And on jump shots, only 3 for 21. That right there is absolute putrid, and compared to last year, is somehow even worse. I was looking at Bronny as a rookie the preseason, shots outside 5 feet. He was 6'4", 27, and looking at jumpers, the exact same as this year at 3 for 21. Once again, what does that prove? This guy's a jump shooter who can't score, hasn't improved in the slightest. And looking at the more advanced stats, he's actually gotten worse across the board. God, no. It smells like a used diaper filled with Indian food. When you're an undersized guard in this era, shooting the basketball is a prerequisite to get rotation minutes and get any playing time at the highest level. Bronny James on offense is a net negative, and as a shooter, he's as bad as they come. Now, when it comes to a point guard, a pure point guard, a 3 and point guard, whatever guard you have, one thing those guys can't do is turn the ball over. Looking at Bronny James, he does just that at a historic rate. As we look at this year's preseason, guys who played under 70 minutes, a grand total of 492 players. Bronny on that list for turnovers ranks 11th, nearly in the top 10. And that turnover-assist ratio is a very impressive 1-to-1. Like we see over and over for Bronny James as an offensive player, he's a net negative and one of the worst players in the entire association. And here's the dagger in the heart. Looking at last year versus this year, there's marginal improvement at best across the board. As last year, points per game 4.2, from the field 30%, higher than this year, from 3.8%, and minutes 16.2. Bronny this year in 2025 as a shooter is equally as bad, if not worse. The only thing that's really improved is minutes per game average and opportunity. And still, with those minutes, he's an absolute brick and a liability on both ends of the floor. You suck. For the average bench warmer in the NBA, their margin of error is about this big. For Bronny James, it's about that wide. And that right there, that's the big-time problem. Someone like Bronny gets a fail over and over and over again, and everyone looks past it. Guys who are normal 10th, 11th, 12th men, they fail that often. They're cut overseas from the G League permanently. And look at this Lakers team at two guys who might make the team, might not make the team, in R.J. Davis, a rookie, and Nick Smith Jr. on a two-way contract. These guys, compared to Bronny James, despite not being household names, are 10 times better. And looking at someone like R.J., yes, he is 23 when he's a rookie with no pro experience. Then someone like Nick Jr., yes, a 2-year pro, but only 21, the same age as Bronny. So, that right there is in the video. And I want to say one last thing. This kind of preseason so far has been an absolute dud, even worse than last year. And the context doesn't make it any better. This guy's best game versus the Suns. He scored 7 points, 38% shooting. In the second half, exploded for 4 points. Bronny in this game, I guess you could say played decent. But look at who he was playing. Guys like Nigel Hayes, Rasher Fleming, Mallow Walker rookie Jared Butler, Goodwin, Livers. The list goes on and on and on. The Suns this night, they played no starters, no rotation players. The guys Bronny was playing against were rookies, G League players, and journeymen. And despite that, couldn't crack 50% shooting. What's my point? If you're playing those guys and still struggling when it comes to an actual NBA game in rotation minutes, you simply have no shot. What this comes down to is quite simple. Bronny's career, it's all